problems of command and control. The worst kind of leadership is divided leadership. Compelled to debate and agree before they act, Allied generals usually move like snails. When fighting large groups of allies, as he often did, Napoleon always attacked first the weak link, the junior partner. Collapse here could make the whole fabric of the alliance fall apart. He would also seek quick victory in battle, even a small one, for no force is more easily discouraged by a defeat than an allied one. Finally, you will of course be attacked for playing the alliance game. People will accuse you of being feckless, amoral, treacherous. Remember, these charges are strategic themselves. They are part of a moral offensive. See Chapter 25. To advance their own interests, your accusers are trying to make you feel guilty or look bad. Do not let them get to you. The only real danger is that your reputation will eventually keep people from making alliances with you. But self-interest rules the world. If you are seen to have benefited others in the past and is capable of doing the same in the present, you will have suitors and playing partners. Besides, you are loyal and generous as long as there is mutual need. And when you show that you cannot be had by the false lure of permanent loyalty and friendship, you will actually find yourself treated with greater respect. Many will be drawn to your realistic and spirited way of playing the game. Reversal. If you play the alliance game, so will those around you, and you cannot take their behavior personally. You must keep dealing with them. But there are some types with whom any kind of alliance will harm you. You can often recognize them by their over-eagerness to pursue you. They will make the first move, trying to blind you with alluring offers and glittering promises. To protect yourself from being used in a negative way, always look at the tangible benefits you will gain from this alliance. If the benefits seem vague or hard to realize, think twice about joining forces. Look at your prospective allies' past for signs of greed or of using people without giving in return. Be wary of people who speak well, have apparently charming personalities, and talk about friendship, loyalty, and selflessness. They are most often con artists trying to prey on your emotions. Keep your eye on the interests involved on both sides, and never let yourself be distracted from them. Here are further reflections on the alliance strategy. From Aesop's Fables. The Dog, the Cock, and the Fox. A dog and a cockerel, having made friends, were strolling along a road together. As evening fell, the cockerel flew up into a tree to sleep there, and the dog went to sleep at the foot of the tree, which was hollow. According to his habit, the cockerel crowed just before daybreak. This alerted a fox nearby, who ran up to the tree and called up to the cockerel, "Do come down, sir, for I dearly wish to embrace a creature who could have such a beautiful voice as you." The cockerel said, "I shall come down as soon as you awaken the doorkeeper who is asleep at the foot of the tree." Then, as the fox went to look for the doorkeeper, the dog pounced briskly on him and tore him to pieces. This fable teaches us that sensible men, when their enemies attack them, divert them to someone better able to defend them than they are themselves. From The Discourses by Niccolo Machiavelli. Since in all her decisions, whether by chance or by choice, Rome took all steps necessary to make herself great, she did not overlook fraud. She could not at the start have been more deceitful than she was in the means she took, as we were saying just now, to acquire allies, since under this title she made them all her servants, as was the case with the Latins and other peoples round about. For she first availed herself of their arms in order to subjugate neighboring peoples, and to build up her reputation as a state, and then having subdued them, she increased to such an extent that she could beat anyone. Nor would the Latins ever have realized that in reality they were mere slaves if they had not seen the Samnites twice defeated and forced to accept Rome's terms. Here the source of a man's strength lies not in himself, but in his relation to other people. No matter how close to them he may be, if his center of gravity depends on them, he is inevitably tossed to and fro between joy and sorrow, rejoicing to high heaven, then sad unto death. This is the fate of those who depend upon an inner accord with other persons whom they love. From Aesop's Fables. The Fox and the Billy Goat. A fox, having fallen into a well, was faced with the prospect of being stuck there. But then a billy goat came along to that same well because he was thirsty and saw the fox. He asked him if the water was good. The fox decided to put a brave face on it and gave a tremendous speech about how wonderful the water was down there, so very excellent. So the billy goat climbed down the well, thinking only of his thirst. When he had a good drink, he asked the fox what he thought was the best way to get back up again. The fox said, "Well, I have a very good way to do that. Of course, it will mean our working together. If you just push your front feet up against the wall and hold your horns up in the air as high as you can, I will climb up onto them, get out, and then I can pull you up behind me." The billy goat willingly consented to this idea, and the fox briskly clambered up the legs, the shoulders, and finally the horns of his companion. He found himself at the mouth of the well, pulled himself out, and immediately scampered off. The billy goat shouted after him, reproaching him for breaking their agreement of mutual assistance. From the Greek Myths by Robert Graves. Heracles had performed these 10 labors in the space of 8 years and 1 month. But Eurystheus, discounting the 2nd and the 5th, set him 2 more. The 11th labor was to fetch fruit from the golden apple tree, Mother Earth's wedding gift to Hera, with which she had been so delighted that she planted it in her own divine garden. This garden lay on the slopes of Mount Atlas, where the panting chariot horses of the sun complete their journey, and where Atlas's sheep and cattle, 1,000 herds of each, wander over their undisputed pastures. When Hera found one day that Atlas's daughters, the Hesperides, to whom she had entrusted the tree, were pilfering the apples, she set the ever-watchful dragon Ladon to coil around the tree as its guardian. When at last Heracles came to the Po, the river nymphs, daughters of Zeus and Themis, showed him Nereus asleep. He seized the hoary old sea god, and clinging to him despite his many protean changes, forced him to prophesy how the golden apples could be won. Nereus had advised Heracles not to pluck the apples himself, but to employ Atlas as his agent, meanwhile relieving him of his fantastic burden. Therefore, on arriving at the garden of the Hesperides, he asked Atlas to do him this favor. Atlas would have undertaken almost any task for the sake of an hour's respite, but he feared Ladon, whom Heracles thereupon killed with an arrow shot over the garden wall. Heracles now bent his back to receive the weight of the celestial globe, and Atlas walked away, returning presently with 3 apples plucked by his daughters. He found the sense of freedom delicious. "I will take these apples to Eurystheus myself without fail," he said, "if you hold up the heavens for a few moments longer." Heracles pretended to agree, but having been warned by Nereus not to accept any such offer, begged Atlas to support the globe for only 1 moment more, while he put a pad on his head. Atlas, easily deceived, laid the apples on the ground and resumed his burden, whereupon Heracles picked them up and went away with an ironical farewell. From The Secret Life of Salvador Dali by Salvador Dali. I regarded most of the people